guess seam sealer and paint makes me a fabricator. I ain't. Yes, this is butchery, 100%. I'm not denying it. Hello guys, welcome back. Today, it's time to cut some floors out. So I've been sitting here having an argument with myself about should I do the floors first or should I get the engine and transmission mounted in this frame first? I need to get the floors done. I'm gonna go ahead and do that first. I'm not really worried about the engine right now. I haven't made up my mind exactly where I'm gonna put this thing. So the goal today is to get this old floor cut out of here, get a new tube frame structure built, and then get some sheet metal down on top of it. Basically, I'm just winging it. I'm going on like everything else I do with this project. I'm just winging it. I have an idea of what I wanna do, but I'm just gonna let the truck talk to me and kind of dictate what needs to be done and how it's gonna be done, essentially. All right, guys, I got some supports made up for this thing. Man, I'm really struggling with it. I'm overthinking this thing way too much. I'm making it far more complicated than it needs to be. Let me show you what I got. All right, so I just made a quick support here that's welded to the, just tack welded to the body, tack welded to the frame, just to give it some support. Now, my only reasoning for that is I'm just worried about this box in here. Honestly, I'd like to kind of leave this alone and not have to mess with anything forward of this box right here. Now this is the driver's side, and you can see where the edge of that box is right here, the flange, and that thing just goes across here. So what I'll do is I'll cut the floor back here, and then basically I'll just end up leaving a lot of this in here, just patching it, doing some patchwork in here and just fixing it. I'm trying not to overcomplicate the damn thing. It doesn't need to be. It just should be really simple process. Now this support, this box frame in here, everything forward of this is actually in good shape except for this one little corner on the driver's side, but all the sheet metal under here is good. So, and this box is actually in really good condition as well. So I'd like to retain it and leave it alone because it's a nice, good structural part of the body right there. And that thing is welded to this here, and then this goes down the side of the body right here, and it's all supported, and it ties into this support as well. But of course there's a big hole here where it's all rusted out, so I'm gonna have to fix this stuff. That's kind of why I'm really not wanting to get into chopping that box out and chopping into this too much. All of this stuff here and this brace that goes up, this is all still solid. This is all in good shape. You know, this is just, this hole here is just the sheet metal right here, which I'm gonna replace anyway. So that's why I just built the quick and dirty support, just so if I have to unbolt everything or anything shifts around when I cut the floor out, I just wanna make sure everything is really supported because I'm gonna do this with the cab on the truck. Now in the back, I just basically did the same thing, just a quick and dirty support that's supported on the floor because I'm not messing with the floor back up here against this flange. Again, I'm trying not to overthink this too much, but unfortunately I am. My head's turning and I'm trying not to pull the cab off. I'm just trying to do this thing with it on the frame and trying to just leave it here. I'm just trying to put myself in the mindset of don't think, just do. Don't think, just do. Just do it. All right, I'm just gonna start with the reciprocating saw and see how this goes, basically. All right, now I'm just gonna go to the top side and get the angle grinder and then cut along that seam up there, I think is how I'm gonna do it. I think I can do that one from the top down. All right, here we go. All right, so far so good. I'm gonna have to do a combo between the reciprocating saw and the regular saw to get in here. All right, let's get this side done. Whew. All right, well, that wasn't any fun. All right, so I got all that cut. And I'm just behind that box Now I've got it cut as close to the body as I can here. I'll have to do some grinding a little bit later, which is not a big deal. So I've got it cut back to here. Now what I need to do is crawl underneath of it, and where that thing is bolted, that other inner brace under there, I want to cut alongside of that thing all the way across. So I've got to get under there and figure out where I'm at. All right, passenger side's all cut. This one was a lot harder to cut because it's thicker. These panels here, these inner ones, they actually overlap on top of this one, and then they just welded it together. So definitely nothing precise about these trucks when they were built. But the metal felt really good, felt nice and solid when I was cutting it. So this side's actually in really good condition, or it's in better condition anyway, I should say. Good lordy. Don't scratch the paint. All right, well that sucked. That was a little worse than I thought it was gonna be. Especially back here. Now the only bad thing about this is the back of the seat pan is on here and it's tack welded in there all the way down, of course. Plus I have the fuel tank mounts right there. Those things are all welded in. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with that. I guess I can, it's really hard to see these spot welds because this thing is just so crusty. I might be able to find them and drill them out, pull them out, because I really don't want to mess with the floor back up against the cab right there. It's in good enough shape, it's fine. I don't want to get into the back of the cab yet. This will get old. Okay. All right, now that that's out of the way, I can kind of see what's going on here. I'm trying to decide what I want to do as far as where to put this floor, how far back to cut it, that type of thing. Cross member wise too. In hindsight, I probably should have done the floor first and then incorporated the mounts into it, but I was worried about having this thing mounted back in the stock location with the stock mounting holes. I was more concerned about that. Because if I cut all this stuff out, I would have lost all that, you know. Yeah, I could have measured it, whatever. But it really doesn't matter with this truck. All right, so now I just got to start cleaning everything up. I got a lot of grinding to do. I got to clean all this edge up here, clean this thing up a little bit. This washer is actually really bad shape. I want to see if I can get a new one, possibly. And then I can get in here and just kind of patch up some of this stuff real crudely. I'll just do some, what do they call it? The Louisiana lap weld. I'll just fix all this stuff the best I can. This side over here is actually in really good shape. Once I put a tube in over here, it'll actually be pretty nice. I think I can just put a tube right underneath this flange, actually. I'll just clean the bottom side of this flange up, square it all off, and then I can weld right to the bottom of it. And that should be pretty good. All right, so I'm just gonna kind of just do this real crudely. This isn't a restoration, so I'm trying to remind myself of that because I'm bogging myself down and thinking too much about it. All right, guys, well, I got some of that cleaned up. It's actually making me feel a lot better. It is cleaning up pretty nice for what it is, really. So I cut out this rusty chunk, and I'm just going to cut a piece of sheet metal and just quick and dirty booger weld that in there. And then I started to kind of cut this out here as well. Now this mount here, I took the bolt out, of course, but this thing's pretty bad. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. I need to replace it, obviously. Either I'll just put a normal big washer, fender washer, or something like that in there. So, and then these I'm just going to cut, straighten them all out, clean them up, clean up the edges, and then I'll just do probably a Louisiana lap weld and just booger those back together as well. So, and then some of this stuff down here needs to be fixed as well. I'll just kind of put that together and weld it back up. It's kind of a weird transition right here because this is, well, from the inside, the outside of the truck, it's concaved, and then it does flatten out as it goes further forward. So it's kind of a unique, definitely a unique panel so it's a little different. The metal all up in here is in really good shape. Actually, it's nice and thick. And then when I do the sheet metal, I'm just gonna go right over the top of this and then I'll just weld that edge up. I really don't care, honestly. I don't want to waste a ton of time on it. I'll straighten this up a little bit better so it's a little cleaner. This side over here I cut a little bit better. So I'll cut the passenger a little bit more, make it more like this one. Even them up. All right, so it's going a little better than I thought. The metal's a little cleaner. Once you get past the rust, it's gonna be weldable for sure. All right, I got this one all cleaned up. I got the mount all cut out of here, cleaned up. That looks pretty decent. Now these here, I just cut this down straight, but this one I'm gonna leave like this because this is actually the joint on the other side where it's welded. So it's actually really thick right here because this is all weld right here. So I'm just gonna leave this alone. All right, guys, well, I got one patch in. Am I proud of it? Nope. Does it look good? Nope. Do I care? Nope. That's all this thing needs. It actually welded better than I thought. It took me a little bit of time, and I had too much of a gap, and I had to fill it, but next time I'll definitely just continue to lap weld it, and this was actually a butt weld over here, and it was a little more complicated. I just got to get in here and fix this stuff. I'll just cut a little piece out. I should have just made this one bigger, but I got lazy and didn't. So yeah, I'm just going to do lap welds. I don't care. It lap welds a heck of a lot easier and smoother, and it'll get sealed up, and then with some insulation and carpet over it, you know, and some sound deadener, you'll never see it, because I'm going to put sound deadener over it too. So it doesn't matter. It's an old rusty truck that I'm trying to save. Remember, this thing was on its way to the scrapyard, so yes, this is butchery. 100%. I'm not denying it. But I just want to put the thing together. Is it strong enough? Yeah, it'll be plenty strong enough. It's not, I'm not worried about the thing disintegrating or nothing. So I'm cutting all the bad metal out and trying to get into the good stuff as much as I possibly can. So, all right, I'm just going to continue. Got this one welded up in there. It's definitely easier welding when it's a lap weld. So these are all just gonna get lap welds. And I got a piece cut here for this right here. I got it overhanging just a little bit on each side. And I've got it bent, contoured just enough here to kind of match the original bend on the inside. Now, none of these you're gonna see anyway. You will not see them unless you're crawling up in there, but I'll spray it all with undercoating anyway. So, all right, I'm gonna weld this one on and call it good. All right, well, that was fun. It's good enough, that's for darn sure. Got that one in there. So that takes care of those, and then I'll do this panel later. I'm not worried about it. Once I get the floor in, I might do it later. I don't know, we'll see, those two. I didn't fully weld this one out yet. I gotta grind all this because the tubing's gonna go in up here, so I wanna make sure that it's gonna lay flat, or, well, as flat as it can anyway, up against here. Call me the booger master. So, yeah, lap welds are going to be the key with this thing because it's just too rusty to try to do a butt weld, and I tried that with the one around the motor mount there. I should have just put a big piece over it, lap welded it all the way around. So live and learn. I know now. This thing's just not, I know I'm saying it too much, but it's not worth it. All right, well, it's late. It's almost dinner time, so I'm going to clean up. I'll see you in the morning. All right, who's ready for more butchery? All right, so just a continuation of yesterday on this thing. I'm just gonna keep patching up all these holes while I have access to it, and then we'll start putting in cross members. Okay guys, I got that patch done. Looks good for my house. That turned out all right, actually. It definitely strengthened up this whole area really nicely, especially this lip down here. I just cut a little strip right here and then drilled some holes in it and plug welded it onto that because this was all busted up. All right, so now that I got those things done, I'm going to go ahead and work on this while the floor is out of it. And before I put this bar in, I need to go ahead and address some of this real quick. So I'm just going to fix this stuff up a little bit. Hopefully today goes a little bit smoother with this stuff. Man, yesterday, I don't know, I was just vapor locking yesterday on this deal. You know, my heart wants to just like tear it all out and do it right and do it really nice and all that, but I have to remind myself this thing just isn't. I don't want to put that kind of time and money and work into this truck. It's you know, let's just get this thing on the road. Let's just save it good enough to enjoy it for what it is, you know, basically. Okay guys, I got this thing all cut out of here. I'm just gonna make a quick template and I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna do a little overlap right here. Instead of trying to do a butt weld, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna hammer it together. And then all this is pretty well cleaned up, good enough anyway. All right, I guess seam sealer and paint makes me a fabricator. I ain't. All right, so I just time-lapsed all that. I got this thing bent in there. I was a little short right there, so I'll have to do a little filler piece. But otherwise, I got the seam all welded up. This up here, I was really surprised at how thin this metal is. It is really thin. So I'm glad I overlapped it, but I've got it welded all the way across. This one I'll do later once I do this panel. I'll kind of tie these together a little bit later, but I got this all tied together down here. And when I put the bar and everything in here, all this will tie to that bar. I mean, for what it is, it's good enough. So maybe we should just call this truck that, good enough. I don't know, I gotta come up with a name for this thing, Rusty or something, I don't know. Let's just make it usable again. To the guy that restores this truck in the future, I am sorry. I'm really sorry I welded all those seams up, but this was a quick and dirty deal, so. All right, that'll be fine. And then once that thing's covered in some carpet, you know, that I'll do that whole, both these side panels and the footwell, you know, and carpet or whatever. And this one's not as bad. Seems like all these years trucks, 50, whatever, 53 to 55, all these trucks seem like they do that right here. Got that support back in there that just collects the dirt and the water. All right, well, that escalated quickly. All right, so when I started grinding this with the flap disc, the holes just kept coming out, so I was like, all right, I gotta cut it out, I guess. This brace across here is completely rotted out, it's gone. So nothing I can do about that one. I'm just gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna pretend that I didn't see it, essentially. Well, it looks like this is shaping up to be a two-part video for sure. I wasn't anticipating on doing the sheet metal work right now, fixing all this little stuff, but you know, since I'm standing in the truck, it just makes sense to go ahead and do it now, while I've got great access to it and I don't have to lay on the floor to do it, you know, on my belly or something. All right, guys, well, apparently I forgot to hit the button, but you didn't miss much, so I got that thing all welded up. This one was a little more of a challenge, especially on that top part. It just kept blowing through on me kind of bad. But she's all solid. I mean, got a little hole there, and then this corner here is kind of blown out a little bit. I'll have to address that after a little bit. It's kind of rotten behind here, so I'm probably gonna have to redo this panel, or at least the top edge of it. I'll figure that out later. Otherwise, the main part of it is done at least, so the bulk of it's finished anyway. All right, well, that was a big pain in the butt. It actually took a lot longer than I thought it was going to, but at least this stuff's all solid now. Well, solid-ish, so. Well, it's a lot better than it was, that's for sure, so. It's all pretty solid. A little bit of oil cannon right there, but we're not gonna worry about any of that, are we? We're just gonna keep this our secret. We're not gonna tell anybody about it, so. All right, well, I think I'm just gonna end off this video here, really. It's getting kind of the end of the weekend, and this stuff kind of took me a lot longer than I thought it was going to. Cutting the floor out and then doing these patches and stuff. Just, you guys know how it is. It just consumes so much time. So yeah, this will be a multi-part video. I will end this one off here, and then the next one, I guess we're just about ready to start framing it out, figuring out the framing. Feel free to light me up in the comments. You know, remember, we're saving this truck. If you haven't been on my channel before and you're just seeing this for the first time, go back and see the other videos. You know, this truck it's a rust bucket, and we're just trying to save her and put her on the road and have some fun with it. That's all we're trying to do with this thing. Don't get it right, just get it running. And that is totally the attitude I'm having with this thing, 100%. So, but, all right, guys, well, stay tuned for more. I'll see you on the next one, and we're gonna go ahead and frame this floor out, and then we can do the sheet metal. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you later.